Hey guys, thank you for joining us on another video show here with Ads Rock, and my name is Tapio Guaze, and today I have on a special guest. His name is Brandon Schaefer. Brandon, you want to say hi to the audience?
Baby, bring it.
There we go. Brandon has got a lot of energy. He's got a lot of energy, which is awesome. We really we love that, and and we also has a lot of really good advice for consultants, business owners, and so I'm really eager to interview him, and I'm sure you guys are going to learn a lot from him. So, Brandon, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself? Tell us what you're all about.
My name's Brandon Schaefer. I come from the tech world. And I'm just about making life easier for people with a tech background. So it can be in your personal life or it can be in your business life. What can you do from a technology standpoint to save time, to save money, to increase efficiency, to better your mindset? I think of 4 quadrants: health, wealth, spirituality, and family. You can mix them up in any way, right? Those four quadrants. And I think in everybody's life, you have to have all 4 of those in some type of balance or symmetry. Otherwise, it's like riding on a flat tire, okay? So, that's kind of what I use technology for, is to improve everything around those 4 quadrants. And when I say spirituality, I don't mean in a religious sense. I mean in a mindset sense where you are comfortable with you. When you wake up, you are happy with you, right? So that's kind of where I'm going with that. And that's kind of it in a nutshell, man. I can go on for the next 45 minutes, but I want to get into some beef, man. I want to just roll. So.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I think that spirituality and mindset, that's so important now, especially with everything that's going on. And that leads me to my next question: is how has your business changed? How is sort of the help that you've been giving your customers changed? Pre COVID-19 to now.
Dude, everything has changed, man. My life has changed, personally and in business. And I always say this, right? Because for me, what I do in my personal life is a relationship to what I do in my business life. Like if I treat somebody like not nicely in my business life, I'm probably going to come home. It's not like I turn a light switch on and all of a sudden I'm going to start treating somebody nicely. Like how I treat an employee is most likely how I'm going to be able to treat my son, or not how I'm going to be able to treat, my son or daughter. It goes both ways, right? So I know there's a lot of people like switch to like, I'm going to be stern. I'm going to be a great leader in business. And then when they get home, it's not like that. I need to be in control of Brandon Schaefer, Inc., right? And then I need to be in control of my company, Inc. And those two things need to be in sync, in harmony. And COVID-19 and everything has turned my daily routine and tossed it out the window. Basically, what it did is it got a piece of paper. I'm trying to grab a piece of paper here.
Okay.
It got a piece of paper, and this is what it did.
Right.
Right here. Not in a bad way, not in a good way. But now it's my job to take this back apart and to understand that I need to adapt, evolve, transition, that I need to accept. It comes down to acceptance. Right? Accept the situation. There's nothing I can do to change it. And I always think this. I want to make sure I am part of the solution, not part of the problem. I am part of the solution. Through this COVID thing, that's what I want to be, and that's what I have been, right? There's a lot of people that take the other tact and, may not be doing things for the positive, or maybe they are doing things for the positive. But for me, I have a certain mindset that I need to do every single day. And that is to wake up before my feet hit the floor. I get my mindset right. I write a thankful list, 5 things. It takes me 2 minutes before my feet hit the floor, because what happens is if I don't do that, I wake up and that gerbil wheel starts going, right? So I need to, before my feet hit the floor in the morning, I need to get settled in and get my mindset correct, because success is in the setup. It's just like if you're cooking some type of veg or meat on the stove or pancakes, you put the stove on first. You heat it up, right? That's what I'm doing in the morning time. Then you put a little oil in there. It starts to sizzle. That's the mindset meditation. That's the success. It's in the setup. And then you can start cooking, right? So when I start cooking, that's when I get up. When I come down, I turn on my computer. I start I start doing outreach. I start seeing what issues there are, seeing how I can help. So success is in the setup, man. That's why I want to talk to you too, because I know you got the similar mindset. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate you having me on here. I really, really do.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. Yeah, no, I'm all about that. Like, mindset is so important. If your mindset's off, then then the whole day is sort of going to be off. And so, yeah, with regards to mindset, so you talked about listing 5 things that you're grateful for. What other things that can people do to kind of help them have that mindset, help them attack the day? Is it maybe planning the day before the day starts, or is it exercise? What other things do you maybe recommend, or are you seeing people do that is really helping them attack the day and be really productive and do a lot of really good things in the day?
Man, that is a phenomenal question. I'm going to directly answer it because I do this every single day. Mm-hmm. The first thing is you must have daily targets. Right?
Yeah,
that's
great.
number one.
Right.
Your daily targets need to be done before your head hits the pillow at night for the following day or following day. You want to have these short-term targets. A lot of people get targets confused with goals.
Right.
Like, I want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. But unfortunately, we haven't been able to fly for 3 months, and I don't even hike as it is right now. So I need training. That is a goal. Right. A target will get me to the goal because it's daily activity. So if I know I want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro 5 months from now or a year from now, I need to start training today. So when I wake up today or before I went to bed last night, I would have on my target list for today, hike for 45 minutes in a higher altitude. Hike with limited food or water or resources for 45 minutes. Then the following day would be hike for another 45 minutes, or exercise, or do some oxygen training exercises. Like, those are the short-term targets. So you need 2 things: short-term targets and long-term goals. And those, you unwavering commitment to yourself. If you hesitate, it is over. Now I'm talking about climbing mountains, but I'm using that as a metaphor.
Right.
In business, I'm talking about using that to, if you're just starting out in business, or you're a startup, or you're an entrepreneur, or you're working at a business and you want to do something else, make that your mountain, that long-term goal, to maybe not work where you work the rest of your life, which is totally fine, because you see something greater for yourself. And the one thing that drives me crazy is that when I see people that they see better for themselves, but for some reason, there's something in their head that doesn't let them take that next step. Now, I'm not talking about going in and quitting your job or anything else like that. I am so far from that. What I'm talking about is just taking 10 minutes a day and continuing your education. Like, if I look at somebody's calendar and I see like if I was to look at a friend of mine's calendar, or even someone that I work with, like, hey, listen, well, these are my goals, these are my targets and these are my goals, right? And then I look at their calendar and I see that nothing on their daily calendar aligns with them actually hitting their target or working towards their long-term goal.
Right.
All I see is make this or do this or do this. It's like drop this off at a friend's here, go out here. That's fine. But if you're like that, you're not going to ultimately get to your highest caliber. Like if you look at like great baseball players and football players, soccer players, like they have a unwavering commitment. Like I know they all want to go and hang out with their friends and stuff like that. The commonality between all excellent professionals and all excellent professional athletes is that they have an unwavering ability to focus on the little things and to drive themselves through to do things when nobody else wants to do them. That's the differentiator right there. And they have grit. So grit is, grit is, hey, they may not have been from the best background, but they have found a way to be resilient. They have found a way to bounce back and fight through. And it is so important, man. So important.
No, I completely agree.
I'm not yelling at you. I'm
no.
At myself. I'm like, let's go. Like I get fired up because I talk to myself here. Like I'm looking at myself when I'm talking here.
Right.
Looking in the mirror as I'm looking at you too. But yeah, I'm guilty as charged with everything that I'm talking about. And that's why it's so important that you get on with people and you have people on and you talk, because it reaffirms that, it's like, go. So
exactly. And yeah, I'm also guilty of this as well, of not having the daily sort of targets and kind of having big goals. And then, then you wake up and then you're like, oh, what do I do? And then you end up doing a lot of busy work that doesn't really get you towards your goal and doesn't let you sort of be as productive as you want to be. So I really appreciate you sharing that. And I think that a lot of people will hopefully get a lot from that, because that's being busy is not the same as being productive, and not the same as doing what you need to do to help you reach your goals. So that's really good there. And then as far as, I think that right now a lot of us are kind of wondering what our goals should be. A lot of us are, whether maybe we've lost our job, or maybe we started a business and we're kind of like unsure how to get clients. What are some things that you would have or suggestions you'd have for somebody who doesn't really kind of know what goal to make? I mean, should I make a goal of trying to make $1 million? I mean, I don't know. What is sort of a goal or a way to set a goal that is within our own control, given this sort of uncertainty that's kind of going on?
Oh man, I'd say I know a lot of people are going to want a different answer than what I'm going to give, but I'm going to start with 3 distinct points, right? And they all have to do with your inner self. 1, be human. Be human. Everybody needs that human element today. We all need it. We need that love. Everybody. It doesn't matter where you're from, who you are, what your background is. It doesn't matter. It's off the table. We are all human beings. Be human. Show the human element. If you lost your job and you're upset about it, talk to a friend. I know it's tough to go back to the employer, but talk to a friend about it. Have 2, 3. I have like 4 or 5 guys that I talk to almost every day. We get on the phone, jump on, and we just chat like 3, 4, 5 minutes. Just what's going on, where we're at, and just vent sometimes, and we don't like go back and forth and comment on each other's stuff. We just listen, and then if we want to talk afterwards, we talk afterwards. But be human, and even if you lost your job. There's a lot of people that may go, that employer is a jerk or anything else like that. But the first thing that I do is circle back to them and show appreciation. Hey, I understand. This is a circumstance that came out of nowhere. There's a lot of issues. I just want to let you know, I really valued my time there. If there ever is a chance by far out escape for me to come back, please reach out to me first. I will show up early. I will leave late. I will come. I will do whatever it takes to make you that's hiring me back look like a superstar. So that's the first with be human.
Love that.
Second, be willing, right? Just it kind of ties into what I was just saying. Be willing to do whatever it takes. Hey, Brandon, if you got fired because you work Monday through Friday or furloughed or whatever they want to call it, because you work Monday to Friday, say, hey, listen, I don't want to work Monday through Friday. I can work Monday through Friday, or I don't want to work 9 to 5. I want to work 5 to midnight. I want to do customer service. I want to do sheets. I want to work Saturday and Sunday. So the second somebody complains about having to work after hours, I'm there. Be willing. And the last part is to be accepting. Like the situation is like people are having to do stuff that they don't want to do right now. Like nobody wants to have to get rid of somebody. And there are great people that are getting let go. And there's a lot of people. But, if you can focus on those three things, be human, be willing, be accepting. And none of those have to do with education, right? Where you went to school, where you come from. Like all it takes is a person, is a person that's willing, that's accepting, and that's human. They can fill that. They can do anything in the world, but you have to reach out. You have to, if you got let go, you reach back out to the company that let you go, and just don't say like, hey, I'd like to come back. If so, like drive home your story. Like you were there for me, and I want to pay you back somehow, some way. Like everybody loves a good story. I constantly mention like Star Wars, Grease, E.T. Like I'm just naming old movies,
right?
From a long time ago. I don't watch a lot of movies and stuff like that, but like Gladiator. Like people love good storylines.
Of course.
You have to create a good story, because when people look at a resume now, if that's all they look at, that's not really a determinant of who you are. Yeah. Like I'm not very book smart. I went to school. I did all that stuff. But if you ask me anything in algebra, geometry, or anything beyond English 101, I'm out. Now I've written multiple books. I've written multiple stuff, but I can hardly speak English, as you can tell. So, I speak the way that I write, and that's it. That's what makes me unique. So be you. Hold your own power and just drive through with what makes you unique.
I love it. I mean, that's really, really good advice, and I think that I love the advice of doing more, being willing to do more, and then also being grateful for them having hired you in the first place. I think that's really, really good. And I'm assuming that you sort of would give the same advice to a consultant that's maybe trying to reach out to a previous client or reaching out to a new client. Maybe you're starting kind of with that be human approach. I mean, how does what you just said like differ if you're like a consultant and you're reaching out to clients to get new business?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of dumping the fluff. I never fluff it up. I always find some way to associate. I try to find some common ground. And I'm not talking about the fish on the wall and then talking about the fish. Hey, do you fish?
Right.
Do you think I fish? Yeah, there's a fish there's a sailfish on my wall behind me in my office. It's not like I go to a garage sale and buy a sailfish, 5 foot, 6 foot sailfish, behind me. So I always try to find some common ground that really resonates with the person, with the client or the prospect. And a lot of times I like to just do the takeaway and lay it all out on the table. Because when you're reaching out to somebody now, they're hardly going to pick up their phone, right? Now, people may say, but they're not going to pick up the phone. Like when I have an employee that say, hey, let's call. They don't pick up. They don't want to pick up the phone and call, right? Because I'm just going to leave a voicemail. And I said, leaving a voicemail is one of the most important things that you can do. Because when they hear your voice, whether they listen to it for 2 seconds or whether they listen to it for 10 seconds or whether they listen to it for 30 seconds, your whole message, they get a reflection of you. Like if I call somebody on the phone, they're going to see that I'm affirmative, that I'm like, hey, man, I am ready to go. There's not going to be any doubt. So if you're calling on a prospect or you're calling on a current client that's kind of wavering, maybe, you know, thinking, hey, maybe we don't need this, maybe we do. Like, you have to be the assertive leader. And I don't mean assertive as in jerky or bossy or anything else like that. But just before you call or before you send an email, have a purpose. And it goes back to, what is your end goal? What do I need to do? Like if it's a prospect that's with another customer, right? And you're trying to win them over, just because you have a little bit, maybe your product's lower price, maybe your service is lower price, maybe your service is better, maybe something's changed in the industry, a law's changed, and puts your business at a competitive advantage versus who they're doing current business with. So I'd call up and say like, hey, listen, I know this law has changed. And due to that, the service that I provide, right? Yes, it does cost money. So I do the takeaway. Yes, it costs money.
Right.
But what it does is it educates you, and it's going to deliver a bigger, I was going to say return on investment, but or impact on the way you're currently doing business, right? So it is important for us to talk. Like, I'm not going to waste your time. I always say this at the end of the call. Like, if I'm leaving a message, like, I'm not going to waste your time.
Right.
You're like, these are the reasons why I'm reaching out to you, X, Y, Z, you know, and this is the next action to take. I know there's a lot of people that are good at the entry point to a call, but always lead, and this is with written content or verbal content, always leave the reader, the viewer, whatever, with the next logical step to take at the end of the conversation. Like, oh, you like this? Yes. Great. Okay. Well, why don't I, what is it a good idea if I follow up with you next week? Yeah, that's a good idea. Like, you almost, in today's world, you have to be one step further than the continuation, because the continuation is just too much. Like, if a person's talking to you, they already know what they want, most likely. Like, if somebody's going to get on the phone with you or talk or read or you know, come to something that you're offering, they've already seen you. They're already educated enough. They're just looking for you to validate the way that they're feeling. So you don't need to sell anymore. They're just looking for a validation, right? Just like when we caught up, like I reached out and I said, hey, you have a podcast? Because I saw you had a podcast. You'd come to one of the things that I do on a Wednesday night. Next thing you know, we're on here. I'm going to have you on my show. I'm on your, like, this is going to lead to, you know, you're going to have a touch of, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20 people that you didn't even know about. So that's what it's all about, man.
I love the advice of thinking about the next step, you know, always sort of having that next step in mind. And because, it is for most of most consultants, that sales cycle can be kind of long, right? It's not something you're not typically just going to sell a client on the first call, right? Or you know, a lot of times you're going to want to have different, multiple touches. And so thinking about those touches and how you can make that experience, you know, really good and alleviate any of their clients' concerns, I think is like really good advice. Is there been anything in your marketing, in your reaching out, that has changed at all in your messaging? Is there been anything that has changed with regards to that, you know, with everything that's happened? I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
Oh man, yeah. You know, initially, it was like, hey, I hope you're okay, stay safe. That was 2 months ago, right? So,
Right.
Everybody was sending out the emails. I was getting pelted with emails,
Right.
from every company, from Wells Fargo, PNC Bank, everybody we do, USAA, all these businesses we do business with. Like, hey, hopefully you're well. Here's your COVID stuff. Here's how to stay safe. We're increasing our reach. We have customer service online. So obviously we did some of that type
Right.
of outreach,
Mm-hmm.
but at this point, I mean, we're 10 weeks in, or a month and a half in, or whatever, two months.
Right.
I don't even know. I lost count.
Yeah, me
But
too.
it's just today. I'm really just reaching out and just saying, like, hey, how are you?
Right.
Right? Is there anything that I can do to help you out? Is there because really, no, I don't know if anybody's back in the office yet full time or anything else like that, or
Right.
I mean, I'm not even in the yellow zone here in Philly, so I mean, I don't know where you are, where I don't think you guys are in the yellow either.
No, we're not.
But yeah, it's so difficult. So my messaging has definitely been toned back a little bit, and my messaging has been more just to more of an educational standpoint.
Right.
And
Makes
I'm
sense.
just going to educate, and hopefully someone will pick up what I'm talking about, which happens all the time. But I think more than ever, what's more important right now is to become a content educator, right? Be the authoritative resource. Be the expert in what you do. And you were mentioning the consultants a few minutes ago. Listen, there are a lot of people that want to get the whale when they go fishing.
Of course.
Get the minnows, get the fish that catches the whale. I don't believe in catching whales or anything else like that. So
Right.
I'm not using that as a metaphor.
Right.
But it's what I say to all consultants is get $1 a month from a person. Once you're on a company's books or on a person's books, it is so much easier to say, hey, I'm going to pick this task up for you. Yeah, it's an extra $100 a month, $500 a month. Boom, done, right? Get $1 a month. Also, always get your foot in the door with a small, and I'm not saying this all the time, but if there's not a big opportunity for you, get your foot in the door with a small opportunity and pack everything you have into it, man. Provide so much value to them, so much customer service, so much communication. Like it's great. It's tough in the consulting world because, like, as a consultant, sometimes you can get lost in the weeds, right?
Right.
So you have to have expert reporting. You have to provide reporting that shows what you did, why you did it, and what the results were. And you need to give that to the customer at least once a week, just if not more, because that proves the ROI. Because when everybody goes and sits at a table at a company and there's 8 people there, 7, 8, 5, whatever, however many people, and they go, what can we chop? What do we need to get rid of? And I say, Brandon, he doesn't, what is he doing? Like, if you're not provide reportings and consistently in front of them, there's going to be a gap. And when there's a gap, there's an out, right? So today, drive home that value. I know everyone talks about value, but just drill home, reach as many people as you can, smile. I used to say handshake, hug. Like, I'm a hugger. I get them in, I hug them, get them in. Hey, how are you? But now we're not able to do that because we're going to wear masks and everything else. So, I'm struggling a little bit right now with the transition when we go back of how do you meet somebody? Do you do the monk thing? Like, is it a bow? Is it a nod? How do you, like, you have a great smile. Like, how do I know you're smiling or not? Now, some people say you can look at their eyes and see if they're smiling, but if they have a mask on, you can tell a lot from a person. So those are the things that I'm working through. So I'm studying and continuing to learn how to connect with people as part of my daily targets, how to connect with people for when we get back for my long-term goal of getting back to normal. So that's kind of a spin on something that I'm doing, is working on daily targets to learn how to connect with people better through body language, right?
Wow.
And then I know that a month from now, when we're back, if we're back in a month, that
Hmm.
I'll be able to hopefully connect. You know, if I start choking myself out like this, that's a sign to get down. If I start looking at my watch, that's a sign to get down. These are just
Right.
simple, like here, nervous, here, looking over here, looking over there. So there are certain cues. Now, these things aren't like written in stone,
Of course.
but you know, if I'm saying, if I'm doing this and I'm saying no, right?
Hmm.
What signals does that give you? That my head's nodding yes, but my voice is saying no. Something's
Yeah.
not right.
Of
You know,
course.
so you have to sync yourself as a consultant to adapt to the environment that you're in. I hope I didn't have to
I
go off into the weeds too much, man.
no, you
I'm
did
really
it.
enjoying our time, man.
Yeah, no, I'm enjoying it as well. And again, you're giving a lot of really good insights and advice. And I think that's really interesting that you're sort of studying body language and a little bit of background on myself. I used to play poker professionally for
Oh,
several years. Yeah,
woo!
yeah, yeah. So
Uh-oh.
yeah, I was all about like studying, poker tells and yeah, body language and all of that stuff. So it's that's kind of really interesting. That also ties in with like the mental game, and I used to really study that as well. But yeah, and I also really like how you talked about customer service. You did a talk. I don't even remember when this was. This was several weeks ago, and it was all about customer service and providing really good customer service for your clients. I still remember that. Like, I still remember that talk because there was so much value in that talk, and that kind of goes along with just providing a lot of value. This was a free conversation, free talk that you had just for anybody that to come in and listen, and you provided a lot of value yeah, like that really, and then I reached out to you. I was like, man, that was really, really awesome. So I think that if you're a consultant, provide a lot of value, even for free. Educate and just help people, because it will come back to you. In so many ways. There's just so even if they can't be your client, they can refer you to a client, and there's just a lot of ways that can work for your favor. So that's really, really good. Yeah. Do you recommend consultants to have? I think it was you were just doing like a chat where you just like invited people. Do you recommend stuff like that, especially now? I mean, it's relatively easy to have chats like what we're having that can help people, and yeah. Do you recommend like podcasts and things of that nature? What are your thoughts on that?
100 million gazillion %, if that's a word. Yes. Yes. Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
awesome.
Yes. Free and paid. Right.
Right,
So, like, we all want to get paid.
right.
We all want to get paid, and we all know people, and we all hear of people in business and on social media and all this stuff. So I
Hmm.
have news for you.
Right,
The market is tough.
right,
So if you're doing it because you want to get paid and you want to start to get paid now, it may not happen. What's going
right,
to happen is you're going to get frustrated.
right.
So you need three things. Everything with me is threes.
Hmm.
You need three things. And I talk about this all the time when I do public speaking. This is what I talk about.
Uh-huh.
Consistency. Are you consistent?
Right,
Do you do it once a week? Do
right,
you do it once a month? I don't care when you do it, but what I care is that you're consistent for an extended period of time.
right,
If you set it up, then set it up weekly for the next 6 months, for the next 3 months. Like, every Monday night at 7 o'clock, you're going to be on.
right.
That's it. And thick, thin situations, circumstances, you're going to be on, right?
Hmm.
That's consistency. Persistency is the second. It's called the CPI strategy.
Hmm.
So, persistency. You have to be willing to continue to show up even when you don't want to show up,
Right,
right? Persistence. Insistence is you have to have a high I quit level, right? You have to have the insistence that you're going to see the end goal. Like, when we go into the tunnel, the Holland Tunnel or whatever, or whatever tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
You go in a tunnel, you're not able to see the end of the light.
Right.
But you have to be insistent that if you keep your car moving forward, whether it's 1 mile per hour or whether it's 40 miles per hour, that you're going to get to the other side. And
Right.
people get caught in that tunnel so much because they don't see the money coming. They don't see the traffic. They don't see the audience, and then they just quit. But you have to keep going and going. You look at these artists, where they're probably not the best example artists, but look at people in music. I mean, there are artists too. I mean, you look at people in music, you look at pro, again, I'll go back to the athletes, like in baseball, I think they usually get up when they're 23, 24 years old. They're a little bit older to go. Soccer can be a little bit younger, those sports. But if you look at their journeys, it's very few. There's like a handful of people. It's the same thing in business that are like, hey, my journey was just right to the top.
Right.
Like Mark Zuckerberg. It was, dude, I was working from the time I was 13 years old to do this, man. My friends were outside playing. They were riding on scooters. They were riding on skateboards. They were rollerblading. They were playing sports. I was working on this business that I had, on this idea that I had.
Mm-hmm.
I was working on my education. I was working to play the violin. I was playing the piano. I was doing all this stuff, but we lose the discipline to do that. And everything I'm talking about, I'm guilty as charged.
Right.
I lose the discipline. But the main thing that keeps me on track is by setting up these things like this conversation
mm-hmm.
that we set up, or
mm-hmm.
I think it was over the weekend or something, or even before that.
Mm-hmm.
But, I set this up for today. And it gives me a reason to show up, right? Because if I didn't have this, where am I going to be? So automatically after today, I'm already thinking and talking to you, when is the next time we can catch up? Right. When is the next time? When I got to get him on my show, I got to introduce him to my audience. When is the next time we can do it? Right? Because I'm in the moment right now, mm-hmm. because I value our time, because I really get a lot from this, and it's really it's re-strengthening my mindset, is re-strengthening my own position on how I feel. But I'm also going to say, when we hang up this call, is that I'm also excited for the future. Right. I'm thinking, when are we going to catch up again? When is the next time that we're going to create some content? This free content. It doesn't take anybody. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to do
right.
what we're doing. I mean, so don't doubt yourself. Give yourself a chance and try. Go. You have to do this stuff hundreds of times before you get better. The first time you did a Zoom with somebody or a podcast, you're fumbling around.
Of course.
I'm not talking to you specifically, but I can only imagine. I still do it today. Am I hitting the record button? Is this screwed up? I've done interviews and forgot to hit the record button. So, the lighting's terrible. Here, it's dark, it's light, it's down. Blah, blah, blah. My voice is terrible. I want when I talk and when I'm on video, I want to look like ABC News in the nighttime with the perfect lighting, the perfect background. But unfortunately, I'm not going to spend $5 million on a studio, because I'd rather spend it in investing in a business that generates a ton of money. Yeah, I want the perfect thing, but my environment's not going to be perfect right now, because first of all, I'm stuck at home. I'm not stuck at home. I am at home, and I can walk outside. I can do different places, but I'm making the best of the situation with what I have, with the resources I have. And this is what I say to any consultant or anybody listening: use your resources to the best of your ability. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect. People don't want perfection. If it's too perfect, they think something's wrong. They think something's off. Just be yourself. I may talk funny. I may stutter sometimes. I may stammer. I may get caught up on a word. You know what? I don't really care. I'm trying to. That's me, and that's what makes me unique. And I'm not going to change that. Because somebody else says, hey, you need to do it this way, or you need to do it this way. I'll listen to them, and I may adjust and adapt the way I communicate a little bit, but I'm not going to change my core value. You know, you have to stick to your core value. You're different from me in terms of your core values,
Right.
maybe in some stances,
Right.
you know, in the way that you think or whatever else,
Yeah.
which is fine,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I'm a little bit different. I may be a little more quirky in this way in terms of staying organized or doing this, but those are all the things that you need to know within yourself what your strengths are. So.
Yeah, no, I love the advice, and I think that there's a lot of, I've talked to several consultants and people, and I tell them I have a podcast, and they're like, oh, what goes into having a podcast? You got to have all this equipment, and it has to, they get sort of get caught up in the weeds, and that's why they don't do it. And I'm like telling them, hey, no, you actually don't really need a really good mic. You don't really need a lot of the equipment that you think you need to just get started. Just get started and do it, and then maybe later down the road, if you want to make it more polished, get that stuff. But yeah, there's so many free tools. There's so many ways of doing it that really don't cost that much, and that you can just sort of get started with today. And so yeah, like I'm all about if you're a consultant, being a business person, and you want to create a podcast, create content, teach. Yeah, like it doesn't have to be perfect, and just do it with free tools and tools that whatever you can find. Use whatever sort of stuff that you have, because that's what people like that. People like you being genuine, and you just sort of being out there doing what you're doing. So love that advice. Is there any more? Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you would recommend to people that are listening? Recommend either to consultants, business owners, whatever. Anything else that we haven't talked about that you're saying, hey, this would be really good advice, for them to sort of take away from this talk.
I'd say a few different things.
Yeah.
You pretty much wrapped it up. Your summary was beautiful. And I always say this, I'm not taking away anything from myself.
Yeah.
But like when I talk to people after an interview, you just so eloquently wrapped up everything that we went over in the past 45 minutes. Like in 2 or 3 sentences.
Thank you.
Like that is a true gift.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to it's so eloquent. Like it takes me a little bit longer than somebody else to formulate what I'm trying to say. So mm-hmm. I kind of like I kind of ping pong around and stuff like that, and you said a few things. So it was just start.
Right.
Yeah. That was one of the first things. Just start. The other thing, it doesn't have to be perfect.
Right.
Just start. It doesn't have to be perfect. And the last thing is reach out to somebody. Like you don't know how many times, like if somebody sat here with me, and in fact, I'm going to start recording some of my days. If someone sat here with me and saw how many times a day I make myself vulnerable, it's incredible. I am constantly reaching out to people. Hey, I loved your lighting. What type of lighting do you use? Hey, I loved your sound. What type of sound do you use? Like if I see a video, I always reach out to them, or a book or something else. Like, hey, I love this quote in your book. Like, don't be afraid to reach out to somebody that you see something that you like and ask them what they use or how they did that. Because I know people reach out to me probably a handful of times a day. Someone says, hey, I saw this, or I like this. What did you use to do that? Or how did you stream to YouTube Live when you were doing Zoom Live, with a StreamYard or something else like that? And then he created MP4 or whatever the thing is for the podcast, MP3, whichever one. So, how do you do that? So in this conversation here, we have video, right? We're on Zoom.
Yeah.
We have video. You used Calendly to set up the invite, which automatically sent to Zoom.
Right.
We're going to create a podcast out of this, which you have.
Right.
You can upload this to YouTube. You can this is going to be longer to upload to Facebook, so we're going to be out on that. But you have three sources. You did one thing, and this is what I talk about with technology.
Right.
Saving time, saving money. We did one thing here in this communication,
mm-hmm.
and we're going to touch 3 different channels. right?
Right.
YouTube, podcast, and the Zoom. So what else is there? Like, use your resources. Try to do one activity, but have that activity yield 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 results. That's consulting 101. That is business 101. Set it up, and then I'm not going to say forget it, but set it up and then run the process. Standard operating procedures. Everything needs a standard, and that's a great thing for a consultant to grab hold of. Is if you're having trouble getting consulting gigs, make writing standard operating procedures your consulting gig. Like, you're going to go in, you're going to watch an employee, you're going to write down and mark everything that they do, and then you're going to figure out a way that if they don't show up one day or that they're not there, that anybody can come in and read the directions,
right,
and do the job. Standard operating procedures, great niche for business consultants, great starting point.
Awesome. And
all you need to be able to do is watch and write write the directions. That's it. You're writing directions. So.
yeah, I know. I love that, and then I also love the advice of leverage, right? Like doing one thing and then having it, just like putting that in different places and leveraging that. And there's so many ways to leverage podcasts, interviews like we're doing. There's so many different ways to leverage. Really, all blogs. Turn that, you can make that into a video and infographics. A lot of different ways that you could do that. But again, the main thing is to just start, and then you just sort of figure that out as you go. Again, this is not the first time I did a video interview or like a you start with whatever you have or whatever you can do. And then you learn as you go, and I mean, I think that's really the best advice, and I think that there was so much good advice that you shared, Brandon. I'm really appreciate you being on here. What is where can people find out more about what you're doing, and where can people learn more about what you got going on?
The most important part, man, I always say, if you like what I say, just send me a text.
Okay.
Send me a text, 215-485-6843. 215-485-6843. We'll talk. We can go on. I can give some pitch and all this crap. I don't want to do that. If you like what I sounded like, if you like the thoughts that I shared, the thought leadership, if you like the motivation, you like the inspiration, you're an entrepreneur, you're a business executive that's just looking to maybe, have somebody keep you on track and everything else, like, just reach out. Just reach out. There's nothing to hide here. There's no crazy opt-in forms. Go to this page, opt into here, to opt into there, to opt into there, to here, to there. Like, I'm done with the opt-in stuff. If you want to talk, Brandon Schaefer, you can find me on LinkedIn. Again, cell phone 215-485-6843. That is my personal line. So don't text me after 12 o'clock at night. I speak from 12 to 5. So I know if you're from a different country, so forth. Just use your best of abilities. That's it. So that's really it.
That's so cool. You're the only person that I've ever met that puts out their phone number and says, "Hey, text." And like, I think that's awesome. That is really cool, because that's what you need, that connection. That's really what is sort of valuable, and just again, who knows where that can lead to. You talking and texting and then call, and then I think that's really how business gets done. Really, not really the opt-in forms and all that other stuff. Like that may be good for like small sales or whatever, but for really high value relationships. I think that's really cool. So all right, well, cool, Brandon. We'll put we'll put the number in the show notes, and I hope people reach out to you. And thank you so much for being on the show. This was like really fun and really awesome. Enjoyed it, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. And we will see you next time on another episode. So all right, see you guys. Bye. All right.